Okay. Good morning. I want to start off by saying that you people really are the only reason I wake up this early. And I'm really excited to share my story, and I appreciate you being here. Can we give it up for Rachel and the team and all those volunteers sitting here for all the work? It really does amaze me what can happen when people work together, and that's what we see every month here. This morning's topic is Nomad, and when I saw the options for the year, this was fitting. I called my mom a few times to get a little bit deeper into my history, so thanks for the excuse to pry that clamshell open a little bit. The reason I liked this topic is that I moved over 30 times. That's over 7,000 miles. If you've done more, let's talk about that. In all that get up and going, I have learned a few things about how and why to leave, and things about what makes a place home. I'll start with the obvious. You can always leave. When I was young, my mom and I moved a lot. I moved with her most of the time. We up and left a lot. I was born in Oklahoma, but I got to Texas as quick as I could. I grew up in the Dallas area, mostly in Mesquite. It was very yee-haw. I spent time in East Texas a lot with my grandma and grandpa, who I lived with as a tot. My mom and I moved around for various reasons. Moving was a card she knew well and played often. She herself moved many times in her childhood. My grandma and grandpa were scrappy and resilient. At one point in her childhood, their family of 5 lived in a tent in the Arizona mountains. Then they upgraded to a 2-room log cabin, kitchen on one side, sleeping on the other, and the kids slept outside. Looking through the maternal line in my family, this carries. My great-grandmother in the 1920s moved from Iowa to Dallas in a buggy. Moving is in our blood. Each and every time my mom and I moved, there was a good reason that I didn't understand, and new logistics for me to figure out, new novel experiences around every turn. When I was around 4 or 5, we moved to Chicago, but just for the winter months. Like, why? I asked her recently, she said she just needed a change of pace. There was so much snow that we kids had to use a tunnel to go from the apartment to the truck. After feeling stuck inside for a few days, she bundled up my sister and me in snowsuit after snowsuit. So much that we could barely move. I have a very clear memory of this. My sister is in the front of the cart. She can barely bend to sit in the seat, and I'm in the back holding on like this, and the padding is squeezing me so tight. And she rolled us around that cart, around the block, just because she needed to get out. She knew she could leave. She just had to figure out how. You can leave a party at any time. You don't need an excuse. Just up and go. You can leave relationships. You can leave all your troubles behind. Leaving doesn't just apply to your physical space. You can leave your mindset, your upbringing, your old beliefs. Anything that doesn't serve you, leave. Give yourself permission. Who else's do you need? When I was in 8th grade, at the start of Thanksgiving break, my parents told me that we were moving to Shreveport, Louisiana. A few days later, we moved again before school started. It was so weird to disappear from my classes like that. It was my first move for several years, and it was during this move that I realized no one in Shreveport knew me within the context of where I'd come from. In my last school, I was 2nd or 3rd chair in band. In my new school, I was 1st chair. I wasn't any better, but their perception was what had changed. We moved back to Mesquite a year later. Same house, same crowd. My classmates shared that they wondered what happened when I moved back to that school. I went back to 2nd chair in band. All the changes I had made when I was in Shreveport erased as soon as I crossed the state line. When you go back to where you've been, when you see the people that used to know you, they see you in that old context. Even if you've changed away from them, they may not have changed, and they can't perceive you any differently than you were before. I left Texas just as quick as I got there once I turned 18. My next stop was Utah. I moved there because I grew up LDS. Any former Mormons in the crowd? Whew, just me. Oh, okay, I'll take an ish. It's very common for young Mormons to go to Utah when they graduate high school. Leaving everyone behind that I knew was really hard, and a change in social dynamic was also challenging. I moved 5 times in the 20 months that I lived there. I never felt like I had a home. Every place that I went was not safe for one reason or another. I had roommate drama, I had religious abuse, and I had a lot of car problems. So each move, I was able to come more and more into myself. I had to make new connections and find a new way over and over again. By the time I left Utah, I felt like a different person. I was almost 20 years old, and I had moved 20 times. That's a lot of reinvention. I've been in Seattle for 20 years now. I remember the first time I drove into the city. I was living in Redmond, and I was in this guy's convertible with my big sunglasses and my hair flowing behind me, and I came across the Ship Canal Bridge, and I saw Queen Anne, and all those buildings stacked on the hillside and planes landing on Lake Union. It was magical. As we drove through downtown, I felt like this was where I was supposed to be. Not too long later, walking on Capitol Hill, I saw people with brightly colored hair. I saw people wearing amazing outfits and holding hands with whoever they wanted. The pressure to conform, the Texan pressure and the Mormon pressure, seemed to not exist. A few years and several moves later, I met my husband, Tyler. Shortly after we met, he helped me move into a new apartment on Capitol Hill. When we married, we moved to Beacon Hill, and we lived there for 7 years. Moving away from there was necessary, but unlike any move that I'd had before. There was a feeling of sadness, not of good riddance. It was the first time I really would have stayed if I could. The next chapter was Bremerton. I take my mail in Bremerton, but I'm at home at Critical. Every year since 2018, the year I moved to Bremerton, coincidentally, I've gone to Critical Northwest. It's a Burning Man org event in Mount Vernon. When each person, literally every single person, all 1,400 of them, arrive at that event, a group of volunteers called ambassadors will rush their vehicle saying hi, offering them hugs, offering them gifts. People get out of their cars, and they've been traveling for hours to get there. And so first, it feels good to just get out of the car, but then to be rushed with this huge community embrace. And the ambassadors say to every single person, welcome home. It's such a beautiful sentiment. People visibly relax and they savor that moment. They cry in that moment because they feel home. We can shed whatever facades that we've been and that we've built for ourselves through the year when we get to Critical. We can embody our fully creative selves and be home with no judgment, only celebration and reverence, safety and security. And it was in this sacred place of home that I started making art. These are the 10 principles of Burning Man, 10 plus 0 principles. I printed them out for you, so please feel free to study up. The 0 is specifically to Critical Northwest, which is a local organization within the Burning Man org umbrella, and it's foundational, consent in all things. That's the base level of all interaction is through consent. These principles help us know how to act and expect others to act. They guide a group of people in creating a safe and secure space. It was at Critical that my interest in bubbles began. A group called Bubble Nation was there my first year and brought out buckets of bubble solution with those wood sticks and the strings. As I walked up to the bubbles, I thought, that looks fun, I should come back to that. And then I thought, well, immediacy, principle 10. So I picked up the sticks and I played with bubbles. A few months later, I hosted a bubble hand tricks workshop at Critical. In the autumn, there's a decompression event called Sea Compression. It's in October this year. I highly recommend it. It's only one day, so anyone can do it. I taught this bubble workshop, and you can make a bubble with any closed circle. That means if you dip your hands into bubble solution, you can make a circle with a bubble with this, or with this. And so I spent the afternoon teaching different hand tricks at this bubble making workshop. Even though I've been bringing grant-funded art to Critical since my very first year, for 3 years I brought a pump sink that I built so people could wash their hands and face in the morning. I thought that would be useful. My art installations really took off in 2022. Bubble Dome was inspired by my newfound love of bubbles and my deep love of Principle 8, Leave No Trace. I wanted to bring bubble painting to Critical, but I couldn't have bubbles mixed with paint floating away on the breeze. That's why there's a dome. The first iteration, I used a metal bed frame, some binder clips, and a sheet of fabric inside a mesh dome. I'm getting emotional because it doesn't look like this anymore. It looks so cool now. Okay. The next year, I upgraded to a rotating tray. The following year, my Kids Up Create mentor and also my son's robotics coach, Paul Noakes, helped me build some buttons to control the machine so the installation would be more interactive. And I got this sick, clear plastic dome. So that's one of the buttons there. So I no longer had to be tied inside. I could be outside talking with people. And that painting is hanging in my store in the way back. And about 3 dozen people helped me paint that over the course of a week. In 2024, I changed the rotating axis inside to create Bubble Doom. This was to fit the year's theme, as above, so below, with one side being the forest, and the other side being a reproduction of Critical Northwest with our festival there. And that is a real map, because I'm obsessed with maps. That's the real map of Critical, which was really fun to do. Since the first event in the spring of 22, I've done 14 installations. My favorites being my installation at Seattle Erotic Art Festival, featuring a sculpture of myself at the center of the dome. I really loved this one. I probably shared my art with 1,000 people, which was really, really fun. And my most recent installation, Bubble Cube. This last year, I ditched the dome completely and built Bubble Cube. I made a wireless button to control the bubble machines. And I also learned CAD and some 3D printing. There was a telescopic viewfinder over down here to help people get it at just the right angle so that it would make a cube. And this one was really fun because I didn't have to be there at all. I started with having to be right there, and now I don't have to be there at all, and I can still experience my art. So they placed me along this sidewalk at the event, so I would see people walking by it, and this weird thing is there. And it's like this tall, 7 feet long. And they're like, what is that? And then their eyes, as it would start to come in, and then you could see them like walking faster to get to the end, which was really, really cool. Of course, it looked better at night, thank goodness.
7 feet tall?
No, 7 feet long. It was about, I have a picture of me like this on it, so it's about this tall. And there, you can see the bubble machine down there. There was a big red button that I had programmed wirelessly so that it would activate the bubble machine from the viewfinder, which was really cool, because usually I have cables running everywhere. So closer and closer to being fully wireless. It's been really fun to imagine something and really visualize it in my mind, and then create it and share it with my community. And the safety to create and reinvent my art, knowing I was in good, caring company. I was home. I was at Critical. I try to embody the 10+0 principles at my store, Spread Supplies. Well, whenever I throw an event with Charleston Business District, as much as possible, I want to create spaces that are for everyone. All ages, all means, all abilities, and beliefs. That picture down there is from Halloween last year, which will be happening again in a couple more months. Gifting is a big part of burner culture. And I'm worn down by community events that feel like I have to go shopping just to participate. I just want to vibe and see my neighbors. So I try to bring that spirit to the events that we throw in Charleston. At Burns, we don't talk about the monetary value of things because their real value is in human connection. Leave no trace is my favorite principle, if I haven't said it enough. If you can't tell from all of my work. I'm looking forward to talking about it with experts and asking them a thing or two on my upcoming TV show, Trash Talk, coming out later this year. Reflecting on all the moves in my life, my home at Critical Northwest, and a few places that felt like home along my journey, I've come to realize there are actions we can take that will create home wherever we are. Know each other's names. It's hard, we all struggle, but a little effort really does go a long way. Hug often. A handshake is nice. We exchange energy, palm to palm. That's nice. But what about heart to heart? We become much more intimate and better friends and more supportive of each other when we hug often. I'm always down for a hug. And show up to help. You help me, I help you. We are threaded together by exchanging favors with each other. This is how communities are built. Ask for help so that people can give you help, so that then you can give them help. Someone has to start the obligation. These are three small steps that go a long way toward building a community of connected people that want to work and grow together, that feel safe to be vulnerable, and that can have hard conversations and feel closer by the end, even if they disagree. And that's exactly what we need right now. I'd love to continue this conversation with you. Please reach out. You can come by my store or text or email, smoke signal. I love in person, but that is all the ways to contact me. And those are all the things I do. Well, most of them. Thanks for having me.